Alright, so we've got a replacement cassette for a Cayman ET or roller, and we're going to replace the existing with the new cassette. And here's how you do it.
So here's the old cassette that's malfunctioning. Basically, it's got a crack in the bottom. So what we're gonna do is see it's a symbiotic relationship. So we gotta take 3 pins out. We gotta take this pin right here. We have to take this pin right here, and then this pin back here.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is first off, we're gonna take the line release out, which is this piece right here. You can take it from the bottom. You can actually take your punch and just push it on up. You don't need a hammer.
No hammer. Okay.
Then you can take your pliers or vice grips, whichever one you decide.
And there's a spring on the inside of this one, right?
So what you do is you take that pin out, and then very carefully, you're going to remove this. There's a spring attached to it right there.
Spring's on top?
Yes. And you can actually remove the spring if you want to. Okay. It's got a little curve right there.
That fits
as you can see, that actually fits in and it lays flat.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Next, we're going to remove the fulcrum, which is this pin across the side. So you just take your punch, give it a couple good whacks, you pop out the other side. You take your pliers, slide that right out.
Okay.
Turn your gun upside down, the fulcrum will come out.
Alright, so that just holds the fulcrum, nothing else, right?
Nothing else.
Nothing else will fall out.
Then we got the butt. We have to take off the rubber butt or the charging butt.
Okay.
So you take this big steel pin back here, give your punch a couple whacks with it. You'll see that pop out the other side. Take your pliers, pull that out, and what happened is you just slide the butt right out, just like that. Okay. Nothing else will fall out. Next, you can take your punch, and to get the cassette out, which has got the trigger and everything on it, you just kind of,
hold on one second.
You just put it in where the butt is.
Yeah. Okay.
You can just stick it in through here.
Yeah.
Pop it up. Your cassette will come right out. Your cassette will have then your trigger and your sear actually on it still.
Trigger and sear still on. Okay, got it.
So,
and that is going to be...
This is the old one. Right. Now we're going to put the brand new one in, which you see will be sent to you with the trigger and the sear already on it. So basically, you're going to turn the trigger mechanism upside down. You're going to push the trigger back.
Right.
And that sear will fall up into it.
Got it.
Because you don't want it falling down as you put it in. See, it won't.
Okay.
It won't come down.
You want the sear to be up. Got it.
So then you just eat really easy. As you can see, there's the safety right there. Whichever way, you always want the safety on or off when you're doing this. So you're safety off. So it means that little piece will be up.
Okay.
And all you do is you just kind of slide this in. Trigger will go in. It will fit perfectly into it. You just kind of push it down.
Okay.
Like that.
Down until it's flush. Got it.
And then what you'll do is you'll pull the trigger. You'll pull the trigger and you'll hear a little click. When it drops, that little sear will drop.
Okay.
That way you know it's in there.
Got it.
So now you'll put the butt back on.
So once the cassette is in there, you pull the trigger, the sear will drop down, and then it's ready to finish the installation. Okay.
Now you put the butt back on, put it until it stops. Take the pin that the butt was holding.
Okay. Just a basic hammer, taps right in.
Right there. So butt goes on. First you'll put on the line release, which is that little pin. Make sure it looks like that.
Got it. Okay.
So what you do is just stick it in the side here.
So this can only go in one way.
One
right?
way.
That spring goes on top. It fits.
Yeah, you just kind of hold the spring down as you're putting it in. You want to put it in kind of like that.
Yep. So it stays flush.
Yep. And you want to make sure that there's this little groove right here where your fulcrum's going to go. You want to make sure the spring is not in there.
Okay.
So you'll actually see the hole line up when you get it. You'll actually be able to see all the way through that hole.
Yeah, there, you got it. Okay.
And once you do,
so the spring doesn't need to go into anything. It just goes into that
actually
hole. Make sure it doesn't go into the where the fulcrum is, but otherwise it's gonna go where it belongs.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just take it, and you can actually just take a little hammer, tap lightly. That'll go right. Not a whole lot. It'll just go right. Not a whole lot of pressure. It'll go right through. Yeah. And as you can see, it just comes. It's not a full pin. If you want it to go a little bit farther down, just take your punch.
Push it.
And push just a little bit, and it'll go farther down.
Got it. Okay.
Now the fulcrum's the other part. You want to put it in exactly like this. You put it in upside down, it's not going to work correctly.
All right. So it arcs going up.
Yep. So the little bean, the curve of the bean needs to be on the bottom.
Yeah.
So basically this long piece right here goes on the bottom, just like that.
Okay.
It sits in there just like that. And you just take your pin, stick your pin in the hole, and now what we're going to do is we're going to just hammer it back in. And what I do is I'll actually take my finger and put it on the fulcrum to make sure it doesn't bounce out when you're hitting it. There you go. And that is how you put your cassette
All right.
into the gun.
And that works.